So here we are today. We're going to make a little bit longer video because this is a subject that bears a little more attention. What I'm holding here is a Springfield model of 1866. However, this is cut down, or what is nowadays called the Bannerman Special. This rifle should have 3 barrel bands. Just give me a second, I'll show you what one should look like. So this is what this rifle should look like. You see here we have 3 barrel bands, a very long barrel. This one's almost in mint condition. Got this one out of a museum. But it's a very nice gun. These are trapdoors. They're converted. This one is really good condition. On that one, I always forget because the different models you have to put the hammer in different positions. But this is the model 1866. What the government did was they took the model 18, I believe these ones were, yes, the 1864 model in this particular case of Springfield musket, and converted it. Has no receiver, has nothing like that, but they did convert this into a 50 caliber breech loading rifle. Now they made about 57,000 of these things. It was not a good deal for people like Sharps and Remington, who are working very hard to get their own contracted rifles made by Springfield and get military contracts. So there was some issues there, a lot of fighting back and forth. Erskine Allen at Springfield Armory continued to make these things, sometimes even when he shouldn't have, and he made a lot of them. And the government decided we really need to surplus some of these because the 1866 they had up to 57,000 of them, and they were already moving on to the model 1868, and there were issues with Remington and Sharps and a whole lot of other things. So what were they going to do with those 66 Springfield conversion rifles? They definitely weren't going to turn them right back out on the American market right after the Civil War. They really were not wanting to arm a whole population of the United States again with arms that were as good as theirs. You had to pay quite a bit of money for like a Sharps in 5070 or a Remington 5070. They also had the option of surplusing them out to France for the Franco-Prussian War. But there was an issue. If they were to sell guns to France, it would appear that America was coming in on the side of France, and that could draw America into the war. America was an isolationist country at the time. So what did they do? They took and they sold them to Remington, who they knew Remington's not going to dump these back on the American market because that would be competition for their far more expensive Remington rolling block at the time. So Remington buys them and Remington sells them to France. Therefore, the United States can avoid any visuals of anything being improper. Now, the thing is, France did not really use these guns. Even though they bought 26 to 27,000 of them, they didn't really use them in combat. They used them for training. They may have a few of them made it to combat, but it's not really noted that I'm aware of. So what happened? Well, a very young Francis Bannerman at the time, I believe he was in his early 20s and doing some of his very first work, and a few other people, but mostly Francis Bannerman, bought them back from France and brought them right back over and immediately started cutting them down. And as you can see, this is one of the cut down ones. No 3rd barrel band, but you can tell a Bannerman cut down because it's actually done pretty good. As far as he doesn't mess with that 2nd barrel band. They do actually put the nose cap back on a lot of them. Some of them you'll actually see cut off here and make, there's a lot of different ones. But on these particular 66s, he would take these, cut them down, because obviously nobody in the United States wanted to see a full-length Springfield after they'd just gone through 4 years of the Civil War. Nobody's going to pay a bunch of money for that. They weren't going to pay a lot of money for this either, but I believe he did mark them up just a little bit and actually sold quite a few of these to buffalo hunters because they were way, way cheaper than the Sharps or the Remington rolling block at the time, or a lot of other rifles that were on the market. Big, powerful 50-70 cartridge. They call it 50 government centerfire at the time. You see a lot of that in records of buffalo hunting. And you'll see these, they're quite a bit shorter. Obviously, unless you're Bill Cody, you don't want to be carrying a full-length 3-band Springfield rifle around on your saddle all day long. This little shorter one was much more handy. Now, people see these today and they automatically dismiss them as mutilated junk guns. And yeah, they're not original to what you would think of when you see the original 3-band musket, and collectors absolutely hate these, and many times they get bought, disassembled, and sold for parts. I kind of hate to see that because there's a lot of history in these cut down guns. You have to remember, people in those days weren't collectors like us today. These were tools. If you have a shovel that you go down to the hardware store and buy and the handle's too long, what are you going to do? You're going to cut that handle down and make it fit you. And that's basically what people did with these. They like these short Bannerman rifles because they fit them, and they use them. Now, here's my little rant on the subject. Sure, this is not worth what a military-grade collectible is worth, but I hate when people just tear them down and disassemble them and sell them for parts, because although these are Bannerman guns, by the way, Bannerman did later on take a lot of spare parts, put them together, and make parts guns. Still, those guns went out. This one right here is not like that. This one is a matching gun that was just simply cut down. You can tell those spare parts Bannermans because they actually move the front barrel band further forward and make them look a little better. This gun right here, although it's worth less than half of what that other one I just showed you is, this gun right here has 3 times the history of that one. Think about it. This model 1866 in almost mint condition, really nice. In full, you know, it's never been polished, but it still is armory bright. Well, until I hit the door there. Inside of this, I mean, just look at the inside of the chamber on this. Almost looks like it's never seen a cartridge. It is that clean in there. Now, these guns were used in the wagon box fight, and they were used in the hayfield fight in 1 or 2 more places for about 1 year. And then what happened? They were stored in armories. That's it. Their history of actual service is about 1 year. And to me, even though, yes, of course, they're going to command more money because they're in original condition, a gun like this could have also served in the hayfield fight and the wagon box fight, and very likely made it all the way overseas to France, and then very likely came all the way back and became a buffalo hunter's rifle that was passed down from generation to generation and used on the ranch as a tool, and has way more history, I'm sorry, than one of those that is in original condition. So, yes, I love the original condition one. You should have one. They cost a lot more money, but don't dismiss the old Bannerman specials. These were the tools of the trade. These are the guns that built the nation.